Brought to you by the TGEM Network. The podcast you're about to listen to is just about people coming together and sharing experiences, and is in no way an advice show. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, Real Talk with Strong Minds. This show is all about people coming together and sharing stories and about educating people on a variety of topics surrounding mental health. I'm Amanda Lambert, a registered health and exercise practitioner with a Bachelor's of Education and the founder and CEO of Strong Minds. I'm someone who's on social media a lot, both personal and business, and I've noticed, a lot of negative things in social media as well as positive intent, but I really want us to really focus on how social media affects our mental health. So today we're going to talk about how society and social media affects our mental health, as well as the role social media plays in our mental health, the positive and negative aspects of social media, signs that social media is impacting our mental health, ways to modify social media use to improve our mental health, and helping a child or teen with unhealthy social media use. So I'm going to touch base right now about the role social media plays in mental health. So human beings are social creatures. We need companionship of others to thrive in life. And the strength of our connection has an impact on our mental health and happiness. Being socially connected to others can ease stress, ease anxiety, ease depression, boost self-esteem, provide comfort and joy, prevent loneliness, and even add years to our life. On the flip side, lacking strong social connections can pose a serious risk to our mental health and emotional health. In today's world, many of us rely on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, and Instagram to find and connect with others. What I'm finding is that a lot of people nowadays are replacing real-world human connections with relationships based from social media platforms. It requires in-person contact with others to trigger the hormones that alleviate stress and make you feel happier, healthier, and more positive. This is why the pandemic was very detrimental to our mental health, because it didn't allow us to have that social interaction with others in person. Ironically, for technology that's designed to bring people closer together, spending too much time engaging with social media can actually make you feel more lonely and isolated and worsen mental health problems such as anxiety and depression. So if you are spending an excessive amount of time on social media and you start feeling emotions of sadness and dissatisfaction, frustration, or loneliness, this can really be an indication that it's impacting our lives, and it may be time to re-examine your online habits and find a healthier balance. So I'm going to touch base on the positive aspects of social media. So while virtual interactions on social media doesn't have the same psychological benefits as face-to-face contact, there are still many positive ways in which it can help you stay connected and support your well-being. Social media enables us to communicate and stay up to date with family and friends around the world. It also helps us find new friends in new communities, help us network with other people who share similar interests or ambitions. It also lets us join or promote worthwhile causes, raise awareness on important issues that matter to us. It also allows us to seek or offer emotional support during tough times. Another positive aspect of social media is it helps us find vital social connections. So if we live in remote areas or have limited independent social anxiety or are part of a marginalized group. Another reason is, finding an outlet for your creativity and self-expression. Another positive intent is, it helps us discover sources of valuable information and helps us learn. Now I'm going to touch base on the negative aspects of social media. Since social media is relatively, new, there's little research to establish the long-term consequences, good or bad, of social media use. However, multiple studies have found a strong link between heavy social media and an increased risk for depression, anxiety, loneliness, self-harm, and even suicidal thoughts. Social media may promote negative experiences such as inadequacy about our life or our appearance. Even if we know that images that we view on social media are manipulated, they can still make us feel insecure about how we look or what's going on in our own life. And honestly, I've that has happened to me so many times where I'm, scrolling on social media and, I'm just seeing like, someone else or another family, enjoying something. And then I will start thinking like, well, why don't I have that? But I do have that. It's really weird how sometimes our thoughts can really like go to that. So we're all aware that other people tend to share just the highlights of their lives. You hardly ever see the low points that everyone experiences. But that doesn't lessen those feelings of envy and dissatisfaction when we're scrolling through social media. So, for example, when we see a friend's airbrushed photos or their tropical, beach holiday, and even the things that I just shared, or even like an exciting promotion at work, we start viewing our life as not, as good, but it is. So, another negative experience can be FOMO, fear of missing out. Honestly, this brings me back to like high school. Side note, I'm so happy that I am, someone who went to high school without social media. I'm just going to say it. Well, FOMO has been around far longer than social media. Sites such as Facebook and Instagram seem to worsen feelings that others are having more fun or living better lives than we are. The idea that we're missing out on certain things can impact our self-esteem, can trigger anxiety, and fuel even greater social media use. So the fear of missing out, FOMO, can compel individuals to pick up your phone every few minutes to check for updates or, compulsively respond to every single alert that comes through your phone. Even if that means taking risks while we're driving, that's like a huge worry. Lots of people tend to really like grab their phone while they're driving and, answer that quick text. But we have to really be mindful that we're like putting not only our lives in danger, but others. So also like missing out on sleep at night or prioritizing social media interactions over real world relationships. So another negative experience that social media has on us is isolation. So high usage of Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram increases rather than decreases feelings of loneliness. So reducing social media usage can actually make us feel less lonely and isolated and improve our overall well-being. So things like depression and anxiety. So human beings need face-to-face contact to be mentally healthy. Nothing reduces stress and boosts our mood faster or more efficiently than eye-to-eye contact with someone who cares about us. And obviously, even something that I learned today, some people, can't do the eye to eye contact, but even just being present with someone, that is key. Okay. Being present with someone will really help with, like our overall health, but especially our mental health. The more you prioritize social media interactions over in-person relationships, the more we're at risk for developing or worsening mood disorders such as anxiety and depression. So the next thing I want to talk about is cyberbullying. So about 10% of teens report being bullied on social media, and many other users are subjected to offensive comments. So social media platforms such as Twitter can be hotspots for like spreading hurtful rumors, lies, and in like that type of abuse that can leave lasting emotional scars. So another negative experience that social media can have on us is self-absorption. So sharing endless selfies and all of our innermost thoughts on social media can create an unhealthy self-centeredness and distance us from real life connections. We really need to be mindful of that. So I want to touch base on social comparison. So there are many reasons why social media has been linked with increased anxiety and depressive symptoms, negative body image, sleep problems, and cyberbullying, but increased social comparison is one of the most powerful. Social comparison is a form of sociological self-esteem where we derive our sense of self through comparing ourselves with others. People have a tendency to make downward social comparisons with those who are worse off or less skilled than them, and this can really raise their self-esteem. While social connections offer people many positive opportunities, the more connections, the more opportunities there are for social comparison. I want to touch base a little bit of the vicious cycle of unhealthy social media use. So excessive social media use can create a negative self-perpetuating cycle. So when you feel lonely, depressed, anxious, or stressed, we tend to use social media more often as a way to relieve boredom or feel connected to others. And then what happens is we use social media more often, which increases FOMO and feelings of inadequacy, dissatisfaction, and isolation. And then in turn, these feelings negatively affect your mood and worsen symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress. And then these worsening symptoms cause you to use social media even more. And so the downward spiral continues. Now I'm going to touch base on signs that social media is impacting your mental health. So everyone is different, and there's no specific amount of time spent or the frequency you check for updates or the number of posts you make that indicate your use is becoming unhealthy. Rather, it has to do with the impact time spent on social media has on your mood and other aspects of your life, along with your motivations for using it. For example, your social media use may be problematic if it causes you to neglect face-to-face relationships, distracts you from work or school, or leaves you feeling envious, angry, or depressed. Similarly, if you're motivated to use social media just because you're bored or lonely or want to post something to make others jealous or upset, it may be time to reassess your social media habits. So that's like something that we really need to watch out for. So some indicators that social media may be adversely affecting your mental health can include things like spending more time on social media than with real world friends. Using social media has become a substitute for a lot of our offline social interactions. Even if we're out with friends, we still feel the need to constantly check social media, which, often tends to drive feelings that others may be having more fun than you. So we really need to, when we're with people, we need to be more present. So it can also include things like comparing yourself to others on social media, which can, sometimes lead to developing low self-esteem or negative body image, or even having patterns of distorted eating. So it can also include experiencing, cyberbullying, being distracted at school or work, having no time for self-reflection. So every spare moment is filled by engaging with social media, leaving you little or no time for reflecting on who you are, what you think, or why you act the way that you do. It doesn't allow you to grow as a person. It could also include things like engaging in risky behavior in order to gain likes, shares, or positive reactions on social media. It could also cause things like suffering from sleep problems. So if you're someone who checks social media first thing at night or first thing in the morning, or even when you wake up in the middle of the night, that's when we really need to assess things. I know that I try to not be on any devices about an hour before I know I'm gonna, go to bed. And I also do a little bit of reading first thing in the morning so that I'm not getting in the habit of, going on my device right away. It could also worsen symptoms of anxiety or depression. So rather than helping to alleviate negative feelings and boost your mood, you feel more anxious, depressed, or lonely after using social media. So I want to touch base about ways to modify social media use to improve our mental health. So we could always schedule time to use social media and times to step away. So with most things, balance is key to having healthy habits on social media. You can set aside time when you can, I like to say surf the web, or doing like that scroll, we can get so caught up in that. And I think I touched a little bit more about that later on, but you can really set aside to really go on social media in times when you log off and ignore notifications. It is particularly important when you're spending time with friends or family and before you go to sleep. There's been many times I'm in conversations and people are on their cell phones or they're being distracted by screens. And it's unfortunate because it's really nice to be present with people. So that's something that I try to really, really emphasize when I'm with friends or family. I try to not be on my, phone as much. And it's, sometimes I even catch myself picking up my phone and looking at it and I don't even know why. It's that habit. So I'm even being mindful of my own actions. But even really using social media before bed, I've been really getting in the habit of not going on any social media platforms at night. When I'm done work, when I'm done on my laptop, if I'm just, watching a little bit of, TV, I try to stay away from any type of social media. It may be helpful to use an old-fashioned alarm clock to wake up in the morning, honestly, because if you are someone who has a hard time letting go of their phone at night and using it in the morning, then maybe getting that old school alarm clock to help you wake up in the mornings. It could really prevent that nighttime scroll. So that could be something that we could, try to implement into our routine. We can be clear about what our purpose is when logging into a social media site, and we stick to it. Again, my social media platforms are always logged on, but you can get in the habit of purposely having to log into your social media so that you don't have the free access of just scrolling. You actually have to put in the work to log in. And the reason being for this is because we've all been there where we're online checking, let's just say the time of a birthday party for next week. And then we find ourselves, an hour later watching video after video, and we're scrolling. We need to really be thoughtful about why you're logging into a site, and then make sure you sign off when you're finished. This will also make sure you're using social media the way that you want to connect with friends or get updates on your favorite band without letting what other people are posting take over. Another thing that we can do is use other people's posts as inspirations rather than comparisons. Seeing other people broadcast their successes and post magazine perfect moments, of their life might make your daily life pale in comparison. But remember that these moments aren't representatives of someone's whole true life. And that person posting them is probably, maybe struggling with things themselves. And that is a way that, helps them. So we never know anyone's story, but a lot of times we'll post the things that aren't always happening in their day-to-day life. You don't see a lot of people posting the real raw, sad, hard days. So I purposely follow inspirational people on social media that brings something to the table for me, that makes me feel good about myself, and that I don't feel like I'm, comparing or more that they're inspiring me. So you can really fill your feed with more positive, inspiring posts rather than things that you might compare yourself to. Looking at these posts as inspirations for you to work towards your own goals rather than directly comparing your daily life to their Instagram is a healthier way to view posts on social media as well. It's also good to be selective about who you follow. It's something that I just mentioned. If someone's post is constantly making you feel bad about yourself or you get frustrated, then consider, unfriending or unfollowing that person. And I'm going to be honest, I do it all the time. If I follow someone and then all of a sudden I'm seeing their post and it's making me feel bad about myself or sad, there's no harm in just unfollow. And if someone notices and they confront you about it, I mean, that has happened to me. I just straight up say I want my social media platforms to be a positive vibe. And when I say that, they kind of understand that, what they're bringing to the social media platforms might not be what I'm into at that moment, I really just like to emphasize that if you have the power and control to fill your social media feeds with what you want. So if you're on social media and you're, feeling really negative thoughts, you actually have the control to change that. So we also want to think before posting. So before you hit the send on a post, consider whether it's spreading positivity. You can help make your feed an encouraging place to be by avoiding, trolls and online arguments and fostering a community of support and positive among your friends and followers. At least you can do that on your page, and you can also control who you follow. We also want to put our mental health first. So we want to check in with ourselves. And if we're feeling down, maybe go outside for a walk or, grab coffee with a friend rather than spending time online. If getting notifications throughout the day makes you feel stressed or anxious, then it would be a good idea to delete the social media apps from your phone or disable push notifications so you only see alerts when you sign in manually. There are things in our control where we can really help that balance component that we really need in our lives. So I want to touch base a little bit about how we can help a child or a teen with unhealthy social media use. Childhood and teenage years can be filled with developmental challenges and social pressures. For some youths, social media has a way of intensifying those problems and fueling anxiety, bullying, depression, and issues with self-esteem. If you're worried about your child's social media use, it can be tempting to simply confiscate their phone or other device, but that can actually create further problems, separating your child from their friends and the positive aspects of social media. So instead, there are other ways to help your child, use Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms in a more responsible way. We can monitor and limit our child's social media use. The more you know about how your child is interacting on social media, the better you'll be able to address any problems. We also can have parental control apps that can help limit your child's data usage or restrict their phone use to certain times of the day. You can also adjust privacy settings on the different platforms to limit their potential exposure to bullies or predators. We can also talk to our child about underlying issues. Problems with social media use can often mask deeper issues. So things like, is your child having problems fitting in at school? Are they suffering from shyness or social anxiety? Are problems at home causing them stress? You also can enforce social media breaks. So for example, you could ban social media until your child has completed their homework in the evening, or not allow phones at the dinner table or in their bedroom, and plan family activities that exclude the use of phones or other devices. To prevent sleep problems, always insist phones are turned off at least 1 hour before bed. And we can also teach our child how social media is not an accurate reflection of people's lives. This is really, really huge. If we have children or youths, and we're allowing our child to be on any type of social media platforms, it is our responsibility to have these conversations. I'm a new mom, and to be honest, it's already starting with, my child wanting just to watch YouTube videos. And it's already crossed my mind that I'm going to have, conversations when it comes to social media, because I'm not comfortable with my child using devices where other parents might allow their child to use devices. That's something that I just know my child will be exposed to, but I can control what's happening, at home, and have these types of conversations. So they shouldn't compare themselves or their lives negatively to others on social media. People only post what they want others to see. And, images are often manipulated or carefully posed or selected. And having fewer friends on social media doesn't make your child less popular in any way or less worthy. So these are types of conversations that we really, really need to have with our child. Like, I don't even know what the appropriate age for a child to have social media is, but again, every family is different. Every, parent makes their own rules, and I totally respect that. But we as parents do have a duty to have these conversations with our child. We also can encourage exercise and offline interests. So we can get our child away from social media by encouraging them to pursue physical activities and hobbies that involve real world interactions. Exercise is great for relieving anxiety and stress, boosting self-esteem, and improving our mood. And this is something that we can do as a family. The more engaged your child is offline, the less their mood and often self-worth will be dependent on how many friends, likes, or shares they have on social media. And circling back to what I originally said, I am someone who is constantly on social media. I own a company, so it's a free platform for advertising. So of course we use social media to really, reach our audience. So I do see the negative impacts it even has on myself. And, I also have a team behind me that helps run this company, and I still am on social media a lot. So I've recognized that there are times where I have to take breaks because of the amount of social media that I'm on in a week because of work. I tend to end up, I want to almost say burn out my desire to have any kind of social media posts in my personal life. It gets to that point when I'm doing a lot of social media work, I don't end up really wanting to post much on my personal, and vice versa. If I'm posting a lot on my personal pages, then when it comes time to have to post social media for work, I'm like burnt out. I don't want to. So finding that balance is key. I cannot stress enough how important it is for us to understand the significance of implementing balance. If you're going to take anything out of this episode, it would be to really implement balance. I constantly have to work on, my social media use because of the nature of, how I use it for work. So there are times in a day where I will try to be off of it and I catch myself, reaching for my phone. I'm like, why did I do that? This is a whole other topic, but it's like addiction, like we are addicted to social media. So what I now know about social media is not going away. I have to ensure that I am practice what I'm preaching in regards to what I'm trying to pass on to my child. I'm already seeing how essentially social media is already impacting my not even 2-year-old. He loves YouTube videos, he loves that whole entire like excitement that he gets when, there's flashes and videos and, colors coming at the screen. And when it's time for, my son to take a break from watching his videos, he has a moment. He is crying. He's showing all types of emotions. And I let him sit with that for a minute or two, or, if it's 20 minutes, but I will always redirect him and let him, have the choice of playing with his toys. Before I had even allowed him to watch TV, he was always playing with his toys. I allowed him to watch TV. I'm already seeing how, TV, not necessarily social media, but TV is affecting my 2-year-old. So we have a responsibility as adults. We have responsibility as parents to really educate our youths. If we are individuals who support youths, we can have these type of conversations with, the families that we support or the clients that we support, but we can also, pass this education on to our children. This is really important that we do that. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I was really excited when me and the team kind of decided that we were going to do an episode on this topic because, like I said, I've seen it happen in my own life, and I really just wanted to pass on any kind of knowledge and education your way. So thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And I hope to have you all come back for the next episode.